So these are the lessons that I've learned from being in the last Bitcoin bull run, last crypto bull run. I guess I was more into crypto at that time, but it does happen fast. That's the first one, that it goes very fast, and nobody's going to be ready for it when it happens. So the last time it happened, we were actually very caught up in it, and maybe I'll save this. No, I'll talk about the story now. It ties into a few of these different ones, but there's a group of 4 or 5 of us, and we all had the same crypto token. And every day that it would go up $1, we would all shotgun a beer. And we would send the video of us shotgunning the beer to our group chat, and everybody was going crazy. It's incredible to be a part of. And if you've never experienced it yet, you're in for a treat. But you really have to manage your emotions during this whole thing. I think that's going to be the underlying theme of this section here, is you can't get too high, you can't get too low. That's kind of Bitcoin overall, but especially during these crazy runs. So every time the price would go up $1, we would shotgun a beer and send a video to each other. So I think there was a couple days where it actually went up like $3 or $4. So on like a random Monday night, we'd be shotgunning 3 or 4 beers because the price went up. And when you're in that mode, that mindset, you think that it's just going to go up forever. Because within 2 weeks, I think it went from like, let's say 50 cents to $16. It happens very fast. It's not something that just drags out over a couple months and you're going to have a whole bunch of opportunities to buy or sell. It happens very fast. So that's the first thing to keep in mind here. And something else that kind of ties into that, maybe I'll do this one for the second part, but avoid at all costs chasing quick gains. Because when this starts happening here, like I said, it's going to happen fast. And when this is happening, you're going to have a whole bunch of temptations from everywhere. You're going to have friends texting you about this coin. You're going to have people within your little communities texting you about this NFT, this project, this next Bitcoin. It's going to happen. So just be ready for it. And what I was just talking about there and why this kind of relates into this is because it is still a lot of fun. And I don't want you to take that part out of it. And so if a friend does happen to text you and say, hey, I've spent the last week studying this coin, I think it's worthwhile putting some money into, I honestly don't have any issues with that. I don't. As long as it's like 1%, no more than like 1 or 2% of your total stack, and you just want to have a little bit of fun with it, because that's all it is really. It's just gambling. But anytime you're having fun with your friends, I'm always for that. And it's fun to go through things like that together. So keep 99% of it in Bitcoin. But if you do have a few things like that, I'm okay with it. But for the most part, keep your stack in Bitcoin. Don't be tempted by all the bullshit that people are trying to sell you on, whether that's a coin, an NFT, like I said, a new project, whatever that is. Don't fall for it. But also have a little bit of fun. I don't know which way I'll go or what I'll be putting a little bit of money into, but it's a lot of fun. We had so much fun being part of that whole thing together. We still have a group chat with the guys that were part of that. So, it's some things are more than just about the money aspect of it. It's just something to go through with your friends. And I think that, you don't want to be a rich person without your friends. It wouldn't be a whole lot of fun. So don't get caught up chasing the quick gains, but don't be afraid to have a little bit of fun there. It's a two-sided. Cold Deck says, this is a Bitcoin channel and I'm not flexing, but I bought ETH in 2017 and was shocked how fast it happened. Yeah, that's ETH, don't buy ETH. I don't mind, an up and coming 2-cent coin that you can easily move in and out of, but do not ETH. I will say, don't get involved in that at all. Letha, good morning. Timber Crasher, hello again. And rock and roll, show must go on. Can't stop, won't stop. All right, so that's 2 and 3. No, that's 1 and 2. Tuesdays. Third one here. Exchanges. I talked about Bitcoin Well a little bit earlier. The one thing I'll say is that you want to be prepared for as many different scenarios as possible. I know we talk about that with our security and wallets and multi-signature and passphrases and just having everything ready for the worst case scenario. You want to be prepared for that. Everything that could happen, you want to have something to counteract that. And it takes time. It's a very long process to go through all that. But with the bull run, you want to be set up on a few different exchanges. So let's say you're in Canada and you're using ShakePay as your main way to buy Bitcoin. Set up a Bitcoin Well account, set up a Bull Bitcoin account, and maybe like I would recommend using having access to at least 3 different exchanges. If you're in the US, that could be River. What else in the US? Bitcoin Well, Coinbase? Nah, don't do Coinbase. But try to get 3, and I'm sure US people will be a little bit more familiar with the exchanges there than I am. But regardless of what country you're in, try to get onto at least 3 exchanges. And yes, you're going to KYC yourself, but in my opinion, once you do it once, you're already on the list. So get 3 exchanges and try to buy Bitcoin at all different exchanges too. Don't just rely on one. You don't want to have all of your eggs in one basket. You don't want to have all the Bitcoin coming from the same exchange. And the real reason why you want to set up on at least 3 different exchanges is because when the price goes way up or way down in a hurry, that's when these exchanges go down for maintenance. And I lived through this. I remember one night I've told this story before, but it's very relevant because it was like 2 a.m. on a Friday night. Bitcoin crashed from, I think, let's say $20,000 to like 12,000 in half an hour. And so it's 2 a.m. I'm scrambling. And in Canada here, you have to send an e-transfer. That was back when I was using Binance. So I would actually have to send an e-transfer. I'd have to find somebody willing to sell USDT, send them an e-transfer, buy Bitcoin with the USDT, send the Bitcoin to my wallet. It was an absolute fuck around. But at the time when I was trying to do it, I wanted to, it crashed by almost 100% or cut in half. And I was like, I want to get as much as possible here. And of course I try to go do it, and exchange is down for maintenance. And the reason they go down for maintenance, they're not actually doing any work on the website. They just don't want people like me and like you to have access to those prices, whether it's going way up and you're trying to sell some, or it's going way down and you're trying to buy some. The exchanges don't want the average person to be having access to that, to the quick volatility there. So that's why I say set yourself up on a few different exchanges, because if I would have had a different exchange that I could try, I wouldn't have been totally reliant on Binance for that. And I actually could have got some very cheap Bitcoin at the time. And this was like back in 2020 where money was just flowing. So I couldn't imagine if I actually bought some Bitcoin for whatever it was very cheap, how much more I would have had if Binance just wouldn't have been down. And then within half an hour, by the time I got everything sorted out, by the time the exchange came back on, it was back where it was. So there's going to be very high movements and there's going to be very steep crashes in a hurry. And if you're not somewhat prepared for, you don't have your eggs spread out a little bit in couple different baskets, then you're going to be completely caught off guard. Sorry, I'm not crying. I'm just so happy. No, I don't know what the heck's going on. Every harvest here, there's just a bunch of smells that my nose don't like. But anyways, so that's number 3. Set yourself up on a couple different exchanges. And here's the thing too. Here's the benefit to doing something like that. You go onto bitcoinwell.com/Jor, you get an account, you buy like $100, $200 worth of Bitcoin, and you're going to get a whole bunch of free Bitcoin just for doing that. So to me, it's like a no-brainer. If you're going to be buying Bitcoin anyways, why not get some benefit from it? So that's number 3. Get yourself set up on a few different exchanges. Number 4 here, and this is what I was talking about earlier in the show today, is when this happens, I want you just to be prepared mentally for what's going to be coming your way. Not only like the price, and maybe I'll add that one as the next one. I forgot about that one. But there's going to be lots going on, and you're going to have people calling you, emailing you, texting you, DMing you. If you're known as the Bitcoiner within your social group, there's going to be a ton of people reaching out to get help from you. So be prepared, because you're going to want to help them. Obviously, we want to push this thing forward, so you want to help as many people as possible. But what I would say is just set yourself up with like a document, a one-page document that you could just quickly send to them with instructions on which exchange to use, how to buy, how to transfer it to your wallet. Keep it as simple as possible, but make sure you have something there that you can just send them, so you don't have to spend an hour or two going through the whole thing with them. It's just going to save you time mostly. And the second part of that is that if you actually have, let's say you have a Bitcoin Well account and you sign up as an affiliate, or on ShakePay, you refer them as a friend on ShakePay, you get like $5 worth of free Bitcoin. So you have your link there and you send this to everybody who's looking to buy Bitcoin. You're actually going to make a bit of a return from that. You can turn that into something that's going to convert into more Bitcoin. So not only are you saving time, but you're actually earning some value back for the knowledge that you've accrued, for the time and energy that you put into Bitcoin and learning. You should be rewarded for that. It's very valuable information, and it's about to be even more valuable in the coming months. So prepare yourself for that now. Don't wait for it to all happen. Just set up something. If you were to buy Bitcoin, or if your brother were to reach out today, or your sister or your cousin, and say, I want to buy some Bitcoin, where do I go? Think about how you would answer that, and then just put it onto one page, save a copy of it. And then every time somebody reaches out, just shoot them an email. So that's number 4. Number 5 is price watching. And I'm sure we've all been guilty of this. I have been. But when the price is running up, there's nothing more exciting than just staring at the exchange all day. Even though you have no intention to sell any Bitcoin, people just love watching the price. So just to save you a bit of time, bit of energy, just have that ready in your mind that once this happens, you're going to either put your phone in the other room or something that you can kind of manage your emotions with, because you're just going to waste so much time looking at something that really doesn't have any impact on you. So to save you time, to save you energy, don't watch the prices. It's very hard to do. I know, I've been there, but try your best. Just be ready for that. And I think if you're ready for it, you have a much higher likelihood of not watching price all day, because there's probably going to be like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks where all you're going to want to do is just watch the price go like this, up and up and up. But there's no point to it. Spend that time either helping people or building your business or whatever that is, but it's just a complete waste of time to watch the price. Second last one here, I actually had more than I thought, is just have a strategy on paper that you can follow. And this is important. This is probably the most important one, because when this all happens, it's going to be complete euphoria and complete chaos. And so you're going to want to have something that you can anchor back to, and just to kind of keep your emotions intact, to make sure that you have something written down, not in stone. It doesn't have to be in stone. It can be flexible and evolving, but just have something that you can refer back to when this is happening. And think about at what price you want to sell your Bitcoin, at what price you want, at what portion of your Bitcoin do you want to sell at that? What price do you want to be buying? Are you going to be DCAing? Are you going to save it up for a lump sum? Are you going to be buying when the price is running up? Which ties into the next one here. But it doesn't really matter what you want to do. The most important thing you can do is just have it on paper. Have a plan for moving into your cold storage, moving some to your Lightning, managing your UTXOs. And if all this is kind of gibberish to you, then consider reaching out to me, because this is kind of what I've been doing with people. This is what I did with the guy who reached out yesterday. It's just developing a strategy. Because if you're somewhat newer to Bitcoin, you don't really know what you don't know. And that can be a big problem. So if you're comfortable with doing it, set yourself up a little strategy of what you're going to do this bull run. And if you're not comfortable doing it, just reach out to me. And I have no problem helping. I'm very flexible in terms of my times, my availability, and my price. If you wanted this to be a longer term thing, we can I'm very flexible with the price. That's the beauty of having your own business. And I want to help people here. So kind of what I'm going to be doing here in the next little while, the next couple of weeks, probably is setting up something for community members here as a good resource. And if you are a member of Living the Future or a Bitcoin journeyman, you actually get a very good rate. If this is something that you're interested in, I give a really good rate to people who are part of the community here, almost half off. So if you're interested, just shoot me a message on wherever you talk to me, Signal, Patreon, or email, and we'll get that in action. But the last one here, and that, I mean, even if you have any friends or family member that you don't really want to spend the time or you don't have the time, just send them to me. I'll kick back a few sats your way as well. I think that's pretty important to share with. So last one here is that when things are running up, everything's good. There's lots of excitement. Everybody's happy. Everybody's rich. But you have to keep in mind here that it will come back down. And it might not come back to $60,000 or wherever we're at, but it will come back down. It will retrace. There will come a point where there's more sellers than buyers. And when that happens, the price will go down. In the moment, it's going to seem like it will never come down again. And I got trapped with that because this is a real story. And this was not Bitcoin. This was a different crypto. But at the peak bull run, or even close to the peak, if I actually just would have sold all of this certain token that I had, cashed out at the price that it was worth, I would be completely debt free right now. And I would probably have double the amount of Bitcoin that I would have had. But I didn't. I got greedy. Not greedy, but yeah, greedy. But I also didn't think that there was a chance. There was just so much momentum. There's so many new people coming in. There was so much talk about it. There was so much buzz, hype. And I didn't think it was ever going to come back down. But it did. Pretty much to where it was when I got into it. So thankfully, I've cashed out the majority of those tokens into Bitcoin. So it kind of worked out for the best. But at the same time, I know that if I would have even traded that in for Bitcoin, I would have at least double the amount of Bitcoin that I had today. So don't get too caught up in it. That's kind of like I think I gave 6 or 7 here, but kind of the main underlying concept with all this is be very stoic. Be very stoic. And that's something you can do. I mean, if you're not familiar with the Stoicism philosophies and the mindsets, then use these next couple months to read some books. This one right here would be a very good place to start, honestly. The Daily Stoic. And I know that Anarcho here is a big fan of this book as well. Very easy to read. You can probably get through this in a weekend. But it really just teaches you to manage your emotions, which is the best thing that you can do, I think, to be ready for this. You don't want to get too high, too excited. It's cool to celebrate and have some fun with it, but you don't want to get too high. And when things crash and when things don't look so good, you can't get too low either. You have to stay focused on why you're here, the core principles about Bitcoin, and just stay very level. That's what Stoicism is just teaching you to stay very level, to control what you can control and don't worry about anything outside of that. So that's number 7, I guess, is get this book or some sort of Stoicism book, because that's the mindset that you're going to need heading into this whole thing here.